Greetings and welcome to DJ in Real Life. This is your boy DJ, and this is my real life on the internet, or what anyone could call a real life on the internet. I've got a question for you all. How many of you have ever been hyped about something? Every single one of you should be saying you have, because the concept of hype is so omnipresent in our lives that we sometimes have trouble knowing how much we are all influenced by it, or when it starts or when it ends, or even when we confuse it for something more substantial or even truer than what the hype was actually for. You've probably heard the following. I am so hyped about this. What's with the hype? It wasn't worth the hype. Yo, that club was hype. And so on and so on. What does it mean to be hyped, or to be around hype? Really? To me, being hyped is being extremely excited about something. And the hype as a noun is akin to an advertisement for something that's supposed to be fun, rowdy, or wild. Usually, the hype in a public sense or on social media is a marketing strategy to sell something regardless of whether that thing is worth the hype or not. In some cases, like sometimes when I use hype myself, it's to build excitement for something that I know is going to be exciting or fun or worth your time. Currently, this show is something that, for now, I am down low hyping. I'm still working on making DJ in Real Life worth all the hype I've already put out there since I started this podcast. It's been slow going, and even a struggle to make it as worthy of others' attention as it's already worth it for me to actually do the show. I believe when I get more content and more shows out there will be more full-blown hype on my end, and hopefully by others as time goes on. Until that time hits or something pops off in the meantime, so to speak, I'm going to continue to build on this show's reach through whatever means I can push it out there. Anyway, what is the motivation to hype something? Or to have people be hyped about something or other? Or to be influenced by hype in a general sense? What does it mean to you? I ask myself, what does it mean to me a lot when it comes to hype? There's a lot of different answers out there that range from the good to the bad. For example, some people hype upcoming events. Some hype up the positive or negative aspects of something out there being pushed or sold. For example, sales folks might hype, say, a shirt or a pair of pants that just came out, pushing the positive aspects of whatever they're trying to sell in order to close that sale and get that money. On the flip side of that, with the advent of super PACs in the political world, many of those political action committees, that's what the PAC acronym stands for, try to hype up the negative aspects of a candidate or an issue in order to defeat it or remove it from the public consciousness. Hype can sometimes go in so many directions, it'd make your head spin just trying to broach certain subjects or people. There are some who purposely try to make that head of yours spin, maybe as a distraction from something else, or to make you avoid whatever those particular folks want you to avoid. It can be pretty nasty sometimes. Now, I already said I use hype myself for the show, but what about other times in my life? And why did I do so? Let me start by talking about what I believe to be the best example of how I've used hype, something I've talked about several times before with other people. That would be the summer of 2003. I was hyping my time in Columbus at a club called Club Dance, which I'll get to more in a future show of the dancing series. But for now, I just want to talk about how much I talked about it to my club friends and my crew. Bottom line, it was a lot. We were put off by stuff and bored by other things regarding the club we were all going to at that time, the former Hairy Buffalo in Akron. I pushed and pushed and pushed to get the rest of my friends there to take at least one trip down to Columbus with me to have them check out that club for themselves. It wasn't an easy sell by any means, especially since it looked to me like they weren't all that willing to take such a chance on a road trip despite their platitudes to the contrary. Trust me, I could tell the apprehension. I took a quick drive-by during a day trip to Columbus that August and saw the name changed to the Big Easy, but I wasn't sure if my Columbus peeps were still going there or if it was the same place as back in the 90s when I went there. I pretty much talked the place up every chance I got and finally got a commitment to go down there from some friends of mine in late September. I'm not going to get into too many specifics about what happened next in this episode, but I want to touch on particular stuff that relates to what I'm talking about today. Hype. As I was saying, I got a commitment from a lot of folks, but aside from myself, I was only able to actually get 2 other guys to go down. The night we went down there, we were lucky that despite the name change that it was the same place as before. Let's just say that from how much fun the other 2 guys had there, it ended up ultimately looking like I was actually underhyping the place. They had that much of a blast. The following Thursday, They came up to the Hairy Buffalo when a lot of our club friends and crew were up there and really laid big time into the hype themselves about the place and about the wild times each of them had. Honestly, I barely said a word. I just smiled and took a laid-back approach, but inside I was absolutely ecstatic about how it all went down. After their hype, we went down again a couple days later with more folks who all ended up having a great time themselves. My crew ended up going down there almost every Saturday night for the rest of the calendar year. It changed many lives for years to come, including that of yours truly, and it all started with the hype I was putting out there about some club I used to go to back in the day. Now, I did ask the question about why I used hype at many points in my life and continue to do so in various ways even now. Why do I use it? There's several obvious reasons I do, but there's one specific thing I haven't really talked about before. And it's something I've seen others use hype for themselves. That specific thing is that I'm trying to get people to believe in the words and experiences I've had and, bottom line, believe in me. Growing up and even in adulthood, it seems I've always had trouble truly getting people to believe me or believe in me, either as a person or someone trying to look like I know what I'm doing or trying to get something across or whatever. In other words, it's a psychological thing. It's been daunting to get people behind me at various times in my life, and in a lot of instances, I ended up generally on my own, either figuratively or literally or both. If you don't think that could scar someone or twist people in knots, think again. I've been scarred by it. I know others who have been too. Understand that I'm not trying to call anyone out here or go after any particular person by talking about this, but I'm simply relating what's happened to me in the past and how I've used hype to try and compensate in some instances and demonstrate in others. It's not an easy thing to put out there, but for me, it's a pretty damning truth. I know other people have done the same and can't admit it to themselves, but I'm hoping that with my admission here, that it will help those folks be free to admit it to themselves, how they use hype as a coping mechanism. It's not in essence a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing either. Like I said, hype is a very omnipresent thing. Anybody who has ever tried to sell something or push a viewpoint knows the power of hype and how much it can change things and change people. The concept easily goes beyond the obvious tropes out there about the subject, and with the influence of social media these past few years, there will only be more and more hype to come. The question that now comes to my mind here is this: how much of what is out there real, and how much of it is just hype? Lines are so blurred in some cases that it gets harder and harder to distinguish between what is or isn't hype anymore. Is it all hype? Is any of it real? I'd like to think a lot of this stuff is real, but sometimes that's beyond my own understanding. Personally speaking, all I could do is acknowledge that it's there, how much it may or may not have influenced me, and how I may or may not use hype or be influenced by it in the future. I think that is something that anyone who has ever had to face personal issues in their own lives will have to deal with as well. There's no real hyping that, that's for sure. And with that, I bid you all adieu. Don't forget to subscribe to DJ in Real Life on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and the YouTube channel, where you can catch the latest editions of the show and listen to past episodes. Also, you can interact with the show, myself, and each other on social media through the official DJ in Real Life Facebook and Twitter pages by visiting and liking those pages. Until next time, folks, this is your boy DJ saying take care, God bless, and since it's hard not to get hyped about this show, why not make it easy on yourselves and just get hyped about it? Let's face it, resistance is futile. Goodbye, everybody.